The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
You're now tuned into a Planet Fanatics production.
As we all know, SDCC, which we are going to get to, was on this past weekend. Kevin Feige did a plethora of interviews up to SDCC where he talked about a plethora of different Marvel projects. He talked about Nova, said that's like 3 to 4 years out. He talked about Blade. He even talked about Black Panther at one point in time. He talked about White Vision, talked about almost every project that they have coming out or things that they're currently working on. And as he was talking about some of those things, obviously that led us into SDCC. There are a lot of questions, what was going to be on that slate? What were they going to show? And one of the things that they did show, and again, we're going to get to this later in the show, was that, thank you for that subscription, was that RDJ was going to now replace Johnathan Majors as the big bad. Now, before we get into this video that Johnathan Majors did here, where he was addressed by a journalist, attacked. There were people, and this was coming from Jeff Snyder. Jeff Snyder had called this a long time ago and said that, they were moving away from the Kang story and it was going to be Dr. Doom in the place. The RDJ thing did come from Jeff Snyder too. So he was ahead of this a long time ago. So this is something that, again, we've all talked about, I think, for almost over a year. We've talked about this for over a year. What is going to happen with Kang? What are they doing with the Kang storyline? And it is now apparent that they are moving away. And I try to, for everybody that, and I'm not trying to rain or boast or anything like this, not because this is not, I don't find this pleasant to report on, because this is not what I wanted for Johnathan Majors. That was never happening. There was no way they were ever going to do that. It just wasn't. There's more to it than just, yes, but and I agree to that, other actors have issues too, but in that moment, everything that's going on, which I said this before, everything that's going on with Marvel, they are trying to regain. Why do you think this whole bringing the Russos back, bringing RDJ back, all this reverting back to formula that they're doing? They are trying to get away from the stain of every time you ask another celebrity, or every time you ask a casual fan or a Marvel fan, what's going on with Marvel, you get this extensive answer, well, they haven't been good since Endgame. Well, if you're hearing that every fucking interview from every person that has asked about Marvel, what are you going to do? You're going to revert back to Endgame. So that's why they were never doing it. But this, for me, is bigger than him even coming back as Kang, because for me, the Kang storyline died when I saw the man get beat by ants. Now, that's not saying that I was not interested in where it was going because Johnathan Majors, but although I have endorsed Coleman Domingo, I have also said with that, there's nobody else that they can get that can come in and fill the shoes that Johnathan Majors did in the role. And with him having the captivating Marvel the way that he did when he got the role as He Who Remains, they put all their eggs in one basket with him. There's no one else that they can bring in that role. And again, I endorsed, and I still do endorse, the Coleman Domingo thing, but even with him, that's not filling the shoes of what Johnathan Majors is doing. So this is bigger for me than him just being Kang. This is now a human level thing. This man, you can clearly tell in this video how heartbroken he is by it, and to be, ambushed and asked some of in the way that he was asked and some of those things, like, he even says at one point, like, come on, man, like, there's things that he wanted to say that he could not say, I'm sure, obviously, because of what he would possibly be painted as. But we'll go through this quickly here, and then we'll start with Corey when we come out on your thoughts on it.
Sorry, it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. was, being brought back from Marvel to play Dr. Doom. I mean, looks like he's replacing your villain, Kang. I mean, are you hurt with the new direction that, like, Marvel is, like, going?
Yeah, heartbroken.
War.
Yeah, of course. Come on. Yeah, of course. I love him. I love Kang. Dr. Doom is wicked, though.
Oh, yeah. It is good. It's going to be good. I mean, both Robert Downey Jr. and Ezra Miller have had, like, a history of trouble with, like, the law and getting arrested for felonies. I mean, you only had a misdemeanor. Do you feel like it's unfair that, like, you're not being given the same opportunities as them?
Damn. I think it's fair that Mr. Downey is being and has been greeted with patience and curiosity and love, and that Mr. Miller's gotten the same treatment, and that they're being allowed to work their art and be creative at that level, you know. It's not, I'm not really, I didn't really get that. So, you know.
Do you wish you had like the same opportunity as them?
I'm a fucking question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, come on. Yeah.
I mean, why do you think that's the case though? Like for them?
Jeez, I don't know.
Like, that's what she wanted the nigga to say, like, because I'm black.
You can just tell at this point he was just uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, I love him. That's what I said. I love him. I love him. I love Kane. Love Time. Love He Who Remains. Love him. If that's what the fans want, if that's what Marvel wants, let's roll. Hell yeah.
Corey.
I just felt like as soon as she brought it up, you can automatically tell he was uncomfortable. There was parts in the interview where you can kind of tell he was trying to pick up his pace. I really think he is heartbroken. I think he's genuinely sad. I think he kind of probably had a hope that he was able to come back. But yeah, I do agree that I don't think that they were ever going to recast him simply because, one, because of his performance, and two, you know, if we can recast him, we can recast T'Challa. And then they're standing 10 toes deep in that. So if you change your mind about one thing, then they have to change your mind about another thing. And I just don't think they're willing to do that. So it really does break my heart because he really brought something to the character. So, and it yeah. Just sad. So those are my thoughts.
Q, what do you think?
Not even going to talk about the Kang stuff, just on a personal level. I thought it was... You could definitely tell it was definitely very, very... I hate to pull the race card. I'm never the boy who calls race or cries race, but very racist. To put a phone in a black man's face who we just know he got out of the assault case and everything.
Right.
And props to him. There's no better way he could have handled that, because any other way, oh my God, look at Johnathan Majors aggressive towards a white woman.
Right.
How Kanye West or what's the Bad Bunny threw those people's phones. If he would have did something like that, see, that's why he got fired. That's why this. So props to him. Beautiful reaction, because I know if I'm not, I mean, situational morality, I don't believe in right and wrong sometimes. If I'm having a bad day and you come and frame these types of questions holding the camera in my face, you might get your phone slapped out of your hand. If I'm right or wrong, who knows? But I'm just, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, not even talking about the Kang stuff. I don't like how that was set up for a white person to just walk up to him in the street. First of all, that's a celebrity. You never know who's safe, who's walking up on you, but to then race bait with the questions and do you wish that was you? Why do you think they got it like this? And wanting him to say, oh, they're white, I'm black. Wanting to get that headline of Johnathan Majors claims Marvel's racist and DC is... And so...
Right.
I thought it was beautiful the way he reacted and handled that in the midst of all this stuff and people's... Because at the end of the day, we don't know how he responds to stuff. All we know is what we got out of the case, and that I believe he should still have his job. Most people, if you know what happened in the case, believe he should still have his job. And so I just thought it was... Because I'm on both sides of it. One, it's still fresh. Yeah, he might not have done, but he was in a legal trouble, had the case. It's fresh. Right. Robert Downey Jr. had to go through some years to get all that back. And I don't want to sit here too long and everything, but I hate how people are saying, oh, Robert Downey Jr. was on drugs where Johnathan Majors is abusing people. It's not different. You have an addict self-abusing themselves who that then turns into abusing others, because once you're an addict, you're not only hurting yourself, you're abusing others as well if you don't. And so them saying, I hate the way it's just thrown around and stuff like that. And I didn't want to touch on the Kang and Johnathan Majors, this and that stuff, because it is still fresh. You know, you lose your job, hopefully he is able, that's the only hope I have. He is able to build that career back. And
exactly,
if they do offer him that forgiveness and some sort of role in the future, I have hopes for it and everything. But I understand that it's fresh, and not wanting that headlines as you as a I just wish Marvel did it better and
Right.
stood by him a little better and didn't just backdoor him with, oh, we're coming back paying one of our most famous actors 80 mil to do these movies because we need it. And I feel like there's a little better way to handle that. And so I'll let you kind of touch on more of the Kang stuff if you want to, or more on the personal stuff. But I just thought I don't like how he was kind of race baited and just walked up on, because any other reaction would have been totally different headline that maybe even that would have been what sank his career completely. Because right now he still does have a career.
Right. Not far.
Right. You know, it's like when I first saw this on Twitter from TMZ, I immediately shared it to Twitter because I thought the same thing that you said there about the race baiting, as far as there's no way he could have answered this question without, because that's what it was. It was entrapment. It was they saw Johnathan Majors, and this entire past year and a half of his life has been an entrapment.
We said it since day one, witch hunt.
Right.
We said it was a witch hunt.
And when she walked up to him and asked him about, well, Ezra Miller this and Robert Downey Jr. that, and I've seen people saying on Twitter, Robert Downey Jr. fell and got back up. Johnathan Majors can fall and get back up again too. That's right, he can. But the difference here that we're misunderstanding, and this is where I'm going to kind of throw the Kang of it all into this, is Robert Downey Jr. is a white man in America. Johnathan Majors is a black man in America. TLDR, I'm not going to go through it all, but you can go back and listen to what Cat Williams said when he was talking to Shannon during the Shay whatever the fuck club.
I was
And
just
he
thinking
brought up
about
Johnathan Majors and the things that he was saying. Those things they are looking at, those things, and they do matter. All they are seeing is a big, angry 6'7", whatever the fuck he is, black man. And since this black man is and my thing is this too, I keep saying this on Twitter, and I think I keep saying this, and every time we have this conversation, we do realize in this whole thing that, and I said this when the footage came out, that this man is physically running from this woman. And this is something that we've all talked about. I feel like the main thing to me, you were watching this black man run away from this white woman from street to street to street, and you've got city cameras catching it. And then, as I said when it happened, if the shoe was on the other foot, and this was him chasing her,
completely different story.
not only that, like you brought up, and I said it in the tweet too, if he would have reacted the way that TMZ wanted him to react in this entrapment, angry loud black man. The angry, like you said, oh, you see, this is why Marvel fired him. This is why he's got the case, because he's abusive. He's this, he's that. And what we need to do is stop spreading the misinformation that Johnathan Majors is a woman abuser.
Or even aggressive. When has he ever shown of him being aggressive?
Y'all have to get off of the internet sometimes and stop.
And look at reality. Yeah.
But my main thing with it is, people get on Twitter without doing an ounce of fucking research. Will get on the internet, see what someone else has said, echo that shit, and it becomes a bad game of fucking telephone.
Yeah.
When you heard it from this account, from Dex account, from whatever, when you can't form your own fucking opinion. That's the issue. So it's my thing with it, my whole thing with the Kang of it all is this too. When you said Marvel should have stood with him a little bit better. Why, if you put and this, I'm speaking on the Kevin Feige shit, because Feige has shown a lot lately.
If Ricardo's here, yep, he talked about it. A lot.
Kevin Feige to say what he has said, you go back and look at any of the Johnathan Majors or the Kang videos we've done in the past, in the past few weeks. Kevin Feige has said, we saw nobody else's shoulders. Johnathan Majors is this. He's great. I mean, it's really impressive what he does. And And they just sang his praises. I had people telling me on Twitter, well, of course they sang his praises. They were working with him. Bullshit. I work with people all the time that I'm ready to cuss the fuck out.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to go sing their praises to anybody. They really enjoyed Johnathan Majors. They really had a camaraderie with Johnathan Majors. You go back to the SDCC where they brought out the Ant-Man crew. He was out there, buddying up with Paul Rudd, buddying up with Kevin Feige, pumping up the fans, all that kind of shit. So everyone was hype. Everyone was ready. If you cared this much about him and you had this big of a camaraderie with him, what stopped Marvel from pulling him in quietly and saying, Jonathan, we appreciate everything that you did as Kang and everything that you brought, but unfortunately, we're going to move a different direction. Because if you really care this much about this person, I'm not saying that Marvel gave a fuck about Jonathan Majors from the jump. Maybe he was just, another work mule to get in and get us some whatever.
Right.
I don't know. But it is fucked. I don't care. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care who you are, what you're saying on Twitter, with the misinformation that you're spreading. It's fucked. It's fucked. It's fucked that he's not Kang. It's fucked that we are not going in the direction. I don't care how hype you are for Doom. I'm hyped for Doom too. Right. But I was also hyped for the Kang storyline. Exactly. I wanted to know where they were going with that. We hyped up this thing like there's the end of Loki season 1. That got you. I was so amped for Kang. I remember telling everybody that, even people that didn't want to hear about Marvel, I could tell anybody that I could get their ear. Like, bro, it was exciting. It was exciting. So I don't give a fuck how excited you might be for Doom or whatever's going on. It's fucked up. It's fucked up that we're not doing that story. It's fucked up that this man doesn't have his position anymore. But when you're white, you're right. And that's just the facts of it, whether you be in Hollywood, whether you be a regular old one of us on the streets. If you have this melanin, if you are this complexion, it's not going to be as easy. And I don't want to hear people saying, oh, stop complaining about this and this and that. That is the facts of it. Unless you walk in...
We're in America. Shit ain't...
A black person, I don't want to hear you speak on what it's like to be black.
You shouldn't even be talking about
crazy.
It. Yeah, that's crazy. I do want to say this before we wrap it up. I also want to point out how compassionate Johnathan is, I feel like, too, because he literally said, if the fans want me back, and if Marvel decides to have me back, I will come back. And most people would not be like that. Most people in their way would probably be on some fuck you shit. Right. But when he said that, he sounded so genuine, and I just thought, wow,
shit,
that's a
that
than me.
That and he know.
That's just, oh yeah. I mean, I know money was big.
No, he did sound compassionate, but shit.
You know what I mean? Like, I know money.
If I was in that situation, hey, if you want me back,
you gonna triple. Yeah, you gonna do what you gotta do.
Hey, RDJ got 80 mil for two movies, a couple cameos. Y'all had a whole storyline around me. I'm gonna need two.
I'm gonna need more. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, when I saw that, I just thought that, definitely for sure need to cover that and give thoughts on that. But obviously, one of the main things here is that we just continue to support Jonathan Majors as a community. If you do support him, if you don't, keep the comments to yourself. If you don't, just don't find yourself in these fucking spaces. And this is kind of on the same thing here a little. Like this is comedian Godfrey did comment on the whole casting of Robert Downey Jr. and he compared it to the stuff with Kang.
Robert Downey
and he had a few things to say about it, but he, like I said, he compared it to the thing with King. We're just listening to just the 1 minute part of what he had to say, but I thought, again, completely accurate. This is another comedian outside of Cat Williams that has looked on the inside of Marvel and has blasted Marvel on the dumbass decisions that they've made.
Robert Downey Jr. is set to play Dr. Doom. He replaces Jonathan Majors. Now, there's a lot of backlash happening because of this, because, Robert Downey Jr., who has a criminal record, drug possession, all kinds of shit. By the way, I love Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is one of the baddest actors around. Love him. Iron Man, Charlie Chaplin. I mean, the boy is bad as shit, But Jonathan Majors is getting a raw deal, man. Why can't they forgive him, man? Is there one little thing that happened? First of all, there was a white woman chasing his ass. That's all I'm saying. I think the guy should be forgiven, but I don't want to bring up race. Why does it have to be about race? Well, obviously it is about race, and it's kind of unfair because white actors can be on heroin, be in rehab, all kinds of shit, and they get chances. They get other chances to redeem themselves. And it's always an amazing story. He was in rehab, and then he came back and won an Oscar. You understand where I'm coming from? It's the same thing they do to Denzel. Denzel should have 5 Oscars by now, but they limit him to 2. He should have them for Malcolm X. He should have them for A Man on Fire, John Q. I'm just saying, you guys know what I'm talking about.
He went on to say some more there, but it is exactly that.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. I completely agree.
Again, we'll be
Maybe a little more.
covering more stuff as I'm sure more comes out about Robert Downey. I'm sorry, Johnathan Majors.